I've got a confession to make. The idea for my company was not mine. Over a 2-year period, I received 5 urgent messages from 5 different leaders in a community that was trying desperately to make an impact on the horrific opioid and addiction epidemic. All of these messages, as they came into me over this 2-year period, are what led to Tipping Point Recovery. I didn't know it at the time, but I showed up to work in a job that was doing on-call emergency room overdose intervention. I listened, I observed the insanity that is our current system, and I leaned in and showed up to be of service, and Tipping Point Recovery was created. Let me explain what these urgent messages were and really who they were from. The first one came in from the chief of police. He asked me to ride along in his police cars with his officers to offer help to people. We would fly through town in the police car with the blue lights on, and they would pull over when they saw a group of people outside. The people would start to scatter naturally, and the officer would yell, "I don't want to talk to you. She does." The people would stop and pause and start to walk over to us, and I would offer them help. I would share my story as an alcoholic. The second urgent message that came in over this period of time was the chief of physicians in the emergency room. She asked me to go to doctors' rounds and share my story. She wanted them to learn more about addiction from me. That says a lot. She also wanted to enroll in the recovery coach training that I was leading at the time. So, a chief of physicians in the emergency room wanted to take a training to become a recovery coach. The third urgent message that came in over this 2-year period for me was the CEO of a well known addiction treatment center who called me to ask me to train their 50 clinicians on how I was engaging so many people in the emergency room. They were looking to make a bigger impact, and they knew we were. Then there was the fourth message. The chief medical director at the behavioral health unit of a local and large insurance company. She brought me into her team to do a presentation, and we discussed how we could do a pilot project to help 100 of their highest utilizing members to find recovery, help the insurance company save money and save more lives. The fifth urgent message that came in, probably the most important one to me, were the grandparents and parents of a young man named Eric. They were trying desperately to help their loved one recover from addiction. Yet the things they were doing instinctively as family members who love him, they were actually not only not helping, they were helping the cycle of addiction to continue, unknowingly, of course. They were hurting. We don't know how to love an alcoholic. We don't know how to help an alcoholic. And the real problem is not the alcoholic. The real problem is the systems around us that are designed to help us are spinning. The addiction treatment center is spinning. The insurance company is spinning. The medical community and the civic community are spinning, throwing money, making new drugs, trying to revive people. But they're all working individually, and the family system is nowhere to be found. The family system is left completely in the dark. We know now that addiction is a brain disorder. It's not a moral failing, yet we have not caught up with that. We know this, but we're still operating under this old, antiquated model. It's a complex condition, and addiction wants to hide. Therefore, the person who has it tries to hide it, not because they're bad or wrong, but because they have a hiding disease. All of the systems designed to care for this person are expecting the person to do things that their disease actually prevents them from doing. That's the definition of insanity. We're pouring money into these compartmentalized systems. We are trying really hard, but the problem is getting worse and worse and worse. One of the worst things of all to me about this is the family being left completely in the dark. They do not know what to do. They're left with their own anger, fear, and confusion. And that does not make recovery. My name is Kate Duffy, and that's why I created Tipping Point Recovery. The tipping point for someone's recovery initiation can happen when we educate the people around them. people who care for, people who love, people who treat and support. Our programs provide education, lots and lots of education, community, and concrete resources and tools, practical resources and tools. We teach and train families all the things that we wish our families knew when we were struggling with addiction, but our addiction won't let us tell them. Currently, we have a membership model and private services, and we are private paid by the customer. Hopefully, that won't be for long. We have a two-part plan for long term, a mobile app with a free hub for people to get their questions answered every single day. And the second part is an insurance covered family model. Isn't it time we did more? As I said, this was not my idea, and it wasn't built by me. This was built by the brave families who show up every day to recover first so their loved one can. I can't do this alone, but we are seeing our data showing over 87% of people who are in our program long term for a year or more, their loved one is on a long term path for recovery. It's a really high percent. I did not plan to start this, and I definitely am not doing it by myself. I need your help. If you are inspired at all by this message, join me and the others at Tipping Point Recovery and get into the recovery conversation. We need your help. I'll see you soon.